Hi, Hi, welcome to Reflections with Rhonda Jones and Monica Livingston. Our guest is Miss Kimberly. Yeah. And tomorrow is Earth Day.
So we want to talk about Earth Day a little bit, and these lovely children, my grandchildren, have some Earth Day tips for you. Rachel, you go first.
Saving paper. When you cut down a tree to use paper, plant another tree.
Very good. What about you, G?
What's something you can do as a little kid that can help our environment? What do we do at home?
Recycle! Chickens!
Chickens.
Always the comedian.
Yeah.
Recycle. What can you recycle? Can you tell them what you can recycle? Not chickens. What can you recycle?
Like what? Like water bottles? What else? What's some things you recycle at your home?
Anything you can think of?
You go. What are some things, Rach?
Cans lids.
What is something you can think of?
Hot dogs!
I don't think. Well,
He's a
you can give it.
clown.
You can give them to the chickens, maybe. Like if you don't eat all your scraps, right? Miss Kimberly, don't y'all have chickens and your children?
Yes.
Yeah,
They like scraps.
Exactly.
Yeah, chickens! And you can recycle beers. Which mommy and daddy drink.
Beer cans. Oh, does
Cans and bottles, yes.
Yes.
doesn't Papa Bush have those blue soda cans?
What blue soda cans?
I was just joking. He used to say that when y'all were little. Papa Bush would say, "Go get me a blue Coke." It was a joke. It was really a beer can. It's funny. But you can recycle cans and bottles and paper.
Cereal boxes,
Yeah.
paper rolls.
Cardboard type stuff. What else? Like mommy recycles a lot of cans, and she makes things with cans too, and she also recycles them.
And milk jugs.
Mm-hmm.
And Coke boxes that have no Cokes in it because you don't want to throw my delicious Coke. Beer glass!
And also, mommy got grandma into recycling, so now I have this big pile of stuff in the house, and grandpa always says, "Monica," because there's boxes everywhere.
Monica!
Kimberly, what are some things that y'all recycle at your home?
Well, a lot of the same. We also try to conserve water. We are in the process of hooking up a hose to where our washing machine goes out, so that water can be used to water trees. As long as you're using a biodegradable detergent, the water's fine to use to water the lawn, and hopefully we can get that done. We do a lot of refurbishing with stuff, reusing. We have a garden, so we plant stuff instead of spending money on it.
Very nice. Yeah, I'm telling you. I don't know why, but I was sort of resistant to. I don't know. I feel like a horrible person now that I admit this, like recycling and repurposing. But the more I do it, the better I guess I feel. Making a small contribution. And Monica, you were instrumental in getting Grandma to recycle things and try to be better.
Well, I think one of the main things, even if you can't do something big, is do something little. These guys feel like they're a part of something because they'll say, "Mommy, can this be recycled?" And I'll be like, "Yeah," and they'll put it in the recycle can. And my daughter's the one who takes out our recycle stuff from the house. We have a big box we keep the stuff in, and then she takes it out to the recycle can outside. And even this little guy at 6 years old, is thinking about what can be recycled and what can't. And he'll even ask me, sometimes I'll say, "Put this in the trash," and he'll go, "Does it need to go in the recycle bin or what?"
Very good. I tell you what, it's good to get them started early. But when I was growing up, obviously it wasn't important to recycle or it was very important, but it wasn't a big emphasis on it at all. So I'm thankful that Earth Day is tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And these kids learned today back in Kids Place all kind of neat things, and they made some collages about things that can be repurposed and recycled. And
Would you like to hold this up? No, another little guy from our group, he actually made this. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
To talk about recycling, and he drew, or he used magazine pictures and cut them out to spell the word recycle, and then did the recycle symbol. So he showed a little bit of knowledge there, a little bit of creativity. He wanted to work by himself, so we let him do that. And this is an old poster board piece that's been laying around and had a little bit of water on it. But hey, instead of throwing it away, we reused it. So, all right. And then Kimberly has two that her kids helped collaborate on.
I'm not sure where to hold it.
And they just have some different things they took out of magazines that showed what you can recycle and what you can do with stuff. Like they have a lot of different little items on that one with milk jugs of how you can make items.
Perfect.
They thought about cooking outdoors and had the food on a stick there.
Nice.
And then the other one that has plants.
Gavin and Christian did this together. I don't know. Does he remember what all?
Has the plants, and there's a bottle that can be recycled. And then, of course, the strawberry baskets that you can use. Has a very nice pattern on the bottom that you can use for a stamp, or you can make little baskets out of those to hold things. So, but just getting them thinking about it now, because the more they think about it now.
That's right.
You know.
Exactly.
And I remember my first Earth Day when I was a kid was in elementary school. I don't remember the exact age or exact grade I was in, but we planted a tree outside of our classroom window so we could see it, and we thought about where it would be and how far we needed to put from the buildings because of the roots. And so we had to do a little bit of research and stuff, and it was a lot of fun. And to me, I mean, I thought for a long time that was the first Earth Day, you know, because I was a kid and I was naive. But to me, that was my first Earth Day. It's the first one I participated in and knew about, and it stuck with me. So
very good. Okay, I guess we are finished with the children's.
Y'all be good.
You did good. Thank you.
Goodbye, chicken!
Goodbye, chicken. Thank you.
Now y'all know why I have so many gray hairs. Those were mine.
I thought they were called wisdom highlights.
Wisdom highlights, that's right.
I mean, it's either wisdom highlight or it's a gray hair mo. Okay, Monica, bring us home with some.
Well, just a few things we talked about. You know, just reusing, recycling, repurposing, making small changes that could benefit a lot when it comes to our environment. These. You know, don't biodegrade real easy.
No,
if at all. There's a place out there, and I've seen it on Pinterest before or Facebook, I think both, that tells you the different items and how long it actually takes for them to biodegrade, or if they do. Some never do. And so using something that can be washed and reused versus something that's just tossed out. Now, some people do reuse these, and they reuse them for a period of time, but over time they do start to wear out.
Leach chemicals, or didn't Cheryl
I think that if
like
they're,
she got cancer from that? Keep it in the hot car.
Yeah, I think if it's put in a hot car and then you freeze it and back and forth, it's just not good. Well, don't.
Okay.
But you can also make crafts out of these things too, and the kids enjoy doing that. And eventually they do end up, in the recycle bin or in the trash, but using less of them, I guess, is a small step.
That is true. But the alternative is to use a water purifier and put it in your own, BPA-free bottle.
Right.
So it would cut down on a lot of the carbon footprint, if you will.
Yes. And repurposing things. Like this is an old coffee canister from, buying, a little bit of coffee. And take the label off. The kids could decorate it if they want to. We haven't got that far. And then it holds some crayons. It can be a good travel canister to throw it in your car. They can reach their hand in because the top's wide enough for even an adult hand to go down in. Pull out what they need. They don't get thrown all over the seat because crayons that melt in your car are not fun to clean up. And, they can grab this real easy and go out the door with it. The kids here at Kids Place love to do crafts with these toilet paper rolls or paper towel rolls. They can be painted. You can cap the end off and make noisemakers. I think the possibilities are endless. I've seen so many things on Pinterest where they've cut these and painted them and
made them,
glued them together and stuck them together, made elaborate wall decorations and just gorgeous stuff. Something I did a while back. This was a a roll of tape, the cardboard for inside of it, and I just took some black and white paper that I had. That was some gift wrap, and I painted some Mod Podge on it, put the wrap around it, and it makes a nice little bracelet. You could do it thinner, thicker. You can use yarn and ribbon.
Janis Joplin shirt. I don't know what I think this looks like, Janis Joplin, but
the long sleeves, kind of billowy.
Very nice, Mo. Very nice.
And then of course we did this for I think an anniversary party that we went to, and basically it's a pickle jar that the label was taken off with some soapy water and some vinegar and a lot of scrubbing, and you can just put ribbon or raffia or whatever around it, or leave it, put stickers, you can paint it. I've seen that. Tissue paper and Mod Podge the outside, and then you put a little tea light in it and put it on a table, and got a repurposed jar that becomes a candle holder.
I had about 3 or 4 different size ones left over, and I put them on my counter and put my kitchen utensils on them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, anything like that.
All right. Kimberly, anything to offer by the way of significance of Earth Day? Any special hints?
Microphone issues.
I was thinking the kids and I cut up milk jugs to make scoopers for the animal feed. We've taken the coffee cans and have one, for scraps for the chickens, and then for the things the chickens won't eat, we compost, and you can use the coffee cans with the lids for that.
Very good. I saw something on, I don't know where, but it was have your children, and I thought about this, but too late for the kids to do it today, but maybe next week, they put on an old sock over their shoes. They go outside into the green grassy area, and they just walk around. They come back in because you'll pick up little seeds from the outside, and then they take it and they plant it in a old 2-liter bottle, and they plant the whole thing, and it'll sprout. And you use, it's pretty cool. You use the soil that they walked on, to get it to use for the potting soil, and then just plant the thing and let it rip, and stuff grows right out of it. It's amazing.
Well, we were showing the kids in the back today when they were making their signs and stuff. We were talking all about things that you can reuse, and one was like the 2.5 dozen egg cartons that come in the big, styrofoam, not styrofoam, but kind of a cardboard tray that you could use those. And we used them with the Girl Scout camp thing that we went to not too long ago, and put lint in each hole, and then you pour candle wax over it, and then when you go camping, you can just break off a few of them, and then you have your fire starters.
Nice.
You could also, we were talking with the kids about putting potting soil in it, and then put your plants in it, and then you can actually bury the whole thing, because you can cut it in sections, bury the whole thing like it is, or in strips, or however you are planting, and it will, that actual carton, the cardboard will biodegrade, and it will,
very nice.
Composting. Yeah. While you're doing it, kind of a dual purpose. And, they kind of thought some of those things were neat, and some of them, of course, their kids weren't paying attention at all. So.
I thought some of it were pretty lame. Oh, well. Adults are that way, too.
Oh, yeah.
Because I kind of zoned out while you were talking about that. Yeah. Anyway, let's move. Just joking. What'd you say? Okay. Any final thoughts on Earth Day?
Well, I mean, just small things, we talked to them about, and they came up with some good ideas. Some of them were really, really out there, beyond what they could do as kids, but that's great. You never know what they're going to come up with
as adults.
We showed them a little video Kimberly did, and I hadn't seen it before, and it was where, in areas where you have people that are poverty stricken, and they have one-room homes, and they can't afford to pay the electricity bill, or they won't be able to eat. I think the video said it's more important to have 2 meals a day than to have electricity. A guy figured out, pretty ingenious if you ask me, way to create a light for these people so that they can have a light in their home. And it was taking a 2-liter bottle, filling it with water, and then you took a piece of tin and you cut a hole in the center of it, and you put the bottle up through it. And then they fashioned, or they cut a hole in the tin roof of their home and put this down inside of it. And then you had the tin on top of the roof, which was a tin roof. They sealed it up so that the water wouldn't get in. and then the light from the solar light would diffuse through the bottle and created light in their whole home.
It put out as much light. I believe it was as much as a 40-watt bulb.
Wow.
From 2 liters that this guy found on the street. People just chunked them in the streets. And he figured out a way to help people have light in their homes. It's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. Very nice.
So you never know if one of these kids one day from, being taught at school or here and just hearing something can come up with a way to help somebody else. And, I didn't want them just to say, oh, well, Miss Monica told us this. I wanted them to think of ways, and someone was like a water wheel to do this, or, we could collect energy from this. They had some ideas and some thoughts on it. And then some were simple ones, like we can shut off the water when we brush our teeth. We can collect water that we don't drink and water plants, and we can plant a communal garden, one of them said, which for a little kid to think of that's pretty cool,
Wow.
It's all work as a community, plant a garden, tend to it, and all reap the benefits. So, get them thinking.
Absolutely. Well, that sounds good. That sounds really good. Okay, well, let's move on to some subjects that crossed our minds and eyes and ears this week. First of all, I just want to, not in passing, but to talk about the Boston bombing and also the explosion at the fertilizer plant. It seemed like those people got overshadowed a little bit, the Texas folks.
Right. Well, I think a lot of people were worried, was it another incident? Was it, another bombing? Was it something else, And then because the marathon, thing had just happened, and because, they were still had the suspects at large, and the other one was believed to be an accident. You're right, it does. It just kind of overshadows it sometimes. And
yeah, and obviously I think everybody knows about the capture, and one was killed and one was seriously wounded, and I haven't paid a lot of attention to it, but this is so sad. And it's sad when adults are killed in these senseless terrorist attacks, and that's what they are. But when the 8-year-old boy, I tell you, I don't know. And I'll be honest with you, when I saw the suspects, I just wanted to like smack his little face. I know that's wrong on my part, but 8 years old and you're there to enjoy something that's, American tradition. And then I was talking to my husband about it, and he was like, well, they have that in their countries. We bomb the blah, blah, blah. I don't care. I do care.
It's wrong anywhere.
It's wrong. It's wrong. And, it's bad enough that armies fight against armies, but when you have these homegrown groups or these individuals that want to do this, it's, I don't know, it's a bitter pill to swallow.
Right.
And did your children ask any questions about it, or were they, informed of what happened?
We don't have television, so they're not that much aware of what happened. Christian knows that there was a bombing, and I believe we did tell him that the people who did it were captured. He just it wasn't as real to him as the shooting, because that involved other children. But he's like me. He's like, I don't understand.
Most of us don't.
Why would someone do this?
Right, and we don't still have an answer. I don't gather, And I thought it was so sad that the dad was trying to, take up for the children, which I think you normally would. The uncle, he called them losers, and he's brought shame to the family. The aunt said they were framed. I mean, it just affects so many people when somebody in your family acts out.
And that just goes to show you that the loss of I think it was the older brother that was killed. In the capturing or the attempted capturing or the chase or whatever, it just goes to show you, because there was a dad involved, there was an aunt involved, not involved necessarily in the bombings, but that are involved with these people that did this act or are suspected of doing this act. And so, they still have to grieve for this person that they lost.
Sure.
This person did wrong, but they were still loved by people.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so it does touch more, and it's, we have to look at, and some people are like, oh, being sympathetic to the people that are killing other people, and that's true, but at the same time, these are still human beings, and
and honestly,
and they've got problems, or they wouldn't be doing this.
That is true. I'm not that sympathetic to the terrorists, but their families, I'm very sympathetic,
right.
To them, and that's the way it is. But I just wanted to say, I know they're collecting money for the people, and but I got to thinking, it looked like to me the people in Texas would need it more. Their whole town was just about devastated and blown apart. Did y'all see that?
Yeah.
With that fertilizer, that's horrible. But did you also see where the one guy was at the Boston Marathon when that bomb hit, and he also saw the explosion in Texas? That's weird.
Wow.
Yeah, he. I want to say he ran the Boston Marathon, and he had crossed the finish line a minute before maybe the bomb went off. But then he had flown home to Texas, and he was driving on a business trip the next day or whatever, and he was driving from, say, Dallas to Waco or vice versa. I'm not sure. But he passed by on the interstate when the explosion happened. That's just freaky.
Wow.
Isn't that wild?
To find out where he's going next, so we be sure not go there.
Exactly. That's what Michael said. That he said, "Don't invite him here."
And you just have to think that you have been pretty near two places that have had such serious incidents just happen. How thankful hopefully you would be to not have been affected by those directly, like you didn't lose a limb or your life or someone you loved in those. So
somebody called him unlucky, and he was like, "No, I was
very lucky."
Right.
Still breathing.
Exactly.
So.
Okay, another subject I have is concerning, and I thought this was, I'm not sure what it means in my head, but let me get to it. But in New Hampshire, they're coming up with a way to help these gun shop owners try to minimize suicides by using guns. I don't know how in the world that's going to ever happen or get off the ground, but I want to give y'all this information. This guy, he sold in the course of a week, and this is a gun shop owner, to 3 different people, 3 different guns, and they all committed suicide in 1 week. So is there something that we can do, or they can do as gun shop owners to, I don't know how you could ever spot that, unless you're intimately involved with the person, but they're trying to raise a campaign that would allow these people to help them spot people that might be on the verge of suicide or whatever, and they buy these guns, and in the course of a week, this man sold 3 people that committed suicide guns.
Right. I kind of skimmed through the article, and I don't understand exactly how they're going to do it either. It sounded like they were going to have some, try to push for, background check type thing, or maybe look for clues, train them to look for some type of clues with, what to look for, or pick up on signs, or I don't know. But I think that would be hard, because a lot of people can really hide what's going on beneath the surface. Yeah. I mean, on the surface, they can seem like everything's fine, everything's happy-go-lucky, but they get behind closed doors and they're with nobody else, and they're just distraught and at the end of their rope, and you just don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
And my sister, being a nurse, she says somebody that you wouldn't even know and think that they're totally fine. One minute, it doesn't take a whole lot when they've suppressed things to suddenly have it bubble to the surface, and something just push them over the edge, and they do commit suicide or try to, whether they successful or not, and it's just, she deals with it a lot. She sees a lot of incidences.
Yeah, well, they did say too that at least the people at the gun shops can give information about suicide prevention. Have it there at the gun shop, which would be almost right, Kimberly. Like the last stop, maybe before you go commit suicide, would be the gun shop. And
yeah, I'm being presumptuous, but yeah, I don't see how that could hurt to have that information available. And like Monica said, maybe training of some kind, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, it looks like
what. I mean, it's not like they're wearing a sign that I'm fixing to shoot myself or something.
Right.
Right. it's going to be very difficult. But yeah, definitely having, suicide prevention or some kind of crisis hotline number prominently available, I mean, it wouldn't hurt anything.
Yeah, I can see that, but just tell a gun shop owner, to just like stare you down and say,
well, maybe
look in your
engaging
eye.
in conversation, because sometimes people will let things slip in conversation. Like, I went to the store the other day to pick up something, and this guy, I think it was close to Easter, and the guy was saying something about his Easter would have been better if he'd been able to be with his kids. And then he proceeded to kind of fill me in on kind of a real quick basis. It was with the clerk about how he hadn't got to see his kids in a number of years, and and my heart went out to him. Being a mom and being with my kids on a daily basis, and it's sad to hear that kind of thing, but sometimes engaging people in conversation, just how are you today, or you might be able to pick up on clues. I don't know. Some people are just not good at picking up on clues at all, and then others, they can say one thing to you and somehow somebody feel comfortable sharing stuff with you that they may not with other people. So
Right. I was thinking while you were talking, like maybe, I don't know if this infringes on rights or whatever, but because they don't even want doctors to ask you sometimes about suicide. They think it's, that's too much. But like a check, have you thought about committing suicide this week?
have you ever tried it?
Have you, do you want to?
Are you
Has that
depressed?
crossed your mind? And then, I don't know. But they said that on average, at least one, this is the medical examiner of New Hampshire, said at least one person a month will commit suicide in New Hampshire out of buying a recently purchased gun they found. And so,
Wow.
maybe they can get some help beforehand. Okay. Momo, do you have something you want to share with us?
I came across an article that just kind of floored me this week, and I sent it to my mother-in-law. And I'm not knocking anybody who does this, but looking back on what I used to believe and what I believe now, I don't see a lot of sense in it. It was an article about a couple who are now 25 months into their marriage, so a little over 2 years. And not only did they abstain before they got married, but for the 25 months that they've been married, they've decided to abstain from having sex with each other, because they said if it was holy and right before marriage, then it's holy and right after marriage.
Okay.
I was like, oh, okay. And, I'm not one to sit here and say, I think that not having sex before marriage is the way to go, or not the way to go. I would think that it'd be better to wait. I think you should save yourself for your partner, and that, all of that. But I think that once you're married, that's something that... Why?
I'm not helping you.
Yeah, I was kind of just taken aback by the article, and it reminds me of when I was Catholic, and we wouldn't eat meat on Fridays during Lent, and we would, we'd give up something like chocolate or something like that, and I don't think nowadays that that's anything that God desires of us to do,
You're on your own, sister.
So y'all don't agree? Are you going to abstain? Or are you going to start abstaining now because it's holy and just?
Let me start.
Right.
What? I don't know. I don't know what to say about this. I don't know. Honestly, sometimes it could maybe create an atmosphere of,
well, like if you go without for a while and then it's like, are you trying to say more exciting when you do? But I don't think that's their point. They're just not going to do it.
Are they going to abstain indefinitely, or what?
They didn't say. They said that right now they have no plans to anytime soon.
Did you ever see the movie Like Water for Chocolate?
No, not that I remember.
Do tell.
No, in that movie, it was, I can't remember what the time period was, but on the couple's wedding night, they had she was covered with a sheet that had a strategic opening, and he was praying, God, we're only doing this for procreation purposes. We promise not to enjoy it.
Oh my goodness. No, I didn't. Wow. Maybe.
That's what it made me think of. Maybe if we got them a sheet, they would feel more comfortable.
I don't know. It just kind of, I guess it just made me think about the craziness that so many teachings of mainstream religion and Christianity, the things that it has created in people's mind that is holy and righteous before God, and made people feel as if they have to do something to please and to
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying now. You're saying like they did all this beforehand, and so they think they'll get holier if they maybe never.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's kind of what the article implied, is that they hadn't for 25 months of marriage, and that they hadn't beforehand, and that if it was holy and righteous and just before, then it must be even more holy, right, and justice after, and that there wasn't a clear end in sight. It wasn't like they had planned to do this for 2.5 years and then, start trying to have kids or not have kids, or I don't know. I think that it all comes from that kind of brainwashing, because you'll have people that sit there and they think that, because, they don't eat certain things, or they don't partake of maybe alcohol, or they've never smoked, or, that they're more righteous or spiritual than somebody else. And it's always caused division and problems. And I thought it was just kind of one of those things that was kind of off the wall and crazy, and thought I'd share with all of our guests.
It was
all of our viewers.
It was. I was surprised when I read it, but
I didn't see a point to it. I was like, it's kind of because like in the Catholic Church, my mom used to tell me, because of course I wasn't married in the Catholic Church. I left the Catholic religion before then. But she said that in the Catholic religion, when you get married, it's not I do, it's I will. Because you're supposed to, I will. I'm going to, be with this person, and I'm going to procreate, and I'm going to have kids, and it's not I do, it's I will.
Okay.
And, the Catholic Church, a lot of strict Catholics don't believe in using birth control, because the intercourse between a husband and wife is for procreation. So. Wow.
Yeah. Okay, moving forward.
Sorry.
No, I'm glad you brought it up, because, if nobody ever saw that, it was interesting, to say the least. Gabby Giffords, everybody knows who she is. She was the senator who was shot in the head a couple years ago. She was furious about this, the background check that the Congress that actually didn't pass. They didn't want to say
stricter background checks.
Right. They didn't want stricter background checks. Now, oh my gosh, if they won't give stricter background checks, they're not gonna, take away any type of crazy guns or anything. So it was terrible. But she actually wrote a letter, and I'm gonna try to read you the bottom of it. Sister got real strict and got right down to where the rubber meets the road.
Right. Well, she's had an injury from a gun, and I think that it's more real to her than to some people that have never known anybody that's been shot or never been shot themselves, and
Well, what I didn't understand either is how you could listen to a parent of one of the Newtown kids, that were shot, one of their parents looking in the eye and ask you to please at least have stricter background checks. And you to me, they just flipped them off. Just shot on the bird and said, no, who cares what happened to your children? But let me read something that she said. She did great. She said, speaking is physically difficult for me, but my feelings are clear. I'm furious. I will not rest until we have righted the wrong these senators have done, and until we have changed our laws so we can look parents in the face and say, we are trying to keep your children safe. I am asking every reasonable American to help me tell the truth about the cowardice these senators demonstrated. I'm asking for mothers to stop these lawmakers at the grocery store and tell them, you've lost my vote. I am asking activists to unsubscribe from these senators' email lists and to stop giving them money. I'm asking citizens to go to their offices and say, you've disappointed me and there will be consequences. This is where she did it. Our democracy's history is littered with names we neither remember nor celebrate. People who stood in the way of progress while protecting the powerful. On Wednesday, a number of senators voted to join that list. I mean, she gave it to them. And she says it was senators deciding to do the wrong thing based on political fear and cold calculations about money of special interest groups that, swayed their vote. I don't know of what else it could have been. I mean, that's the very least that people in this country,
right,
deserve, is for people that want to have a gun for whatever reason to have stricter background checks. Whatever. If you are responsible enough and you want a gun, then you're responsible enough to pass a strict background check. If you can't pass it, you don't need the gun. You probably don't need it, honestly, to start with.
Right. And I think that so many people think that's just the first step and then the government coming in and taking away guns. But, I mean, we've got to do something. I mean, there are so many crimes being committed with guns and so many atrocities. Every time we turn on the news, we're hearing about another shooting. In these mass shootings at these schools, or just one person being shot, bank robberies where people are shot, store holdups, home invasions, suicides, just anything. Something has to be done. And if it's not going to be to take some of these really high-powered rifles that my opinion, think that there's no business that we need these for anything. I mean, you're not going to go hunting with an AK-47, assault rifle. You're just not.
No, it's against the law, I think, actually.
I mean, even if you hunted with that, that would just be destruction. That wouldn't be, killing an animal to use it for, stuffing it on your wall or eating the meat or anything like that.
Stuffing it on your wall? You think that's a good way?
No, but you know what I'm saying? That people have to go to hunt so that they can have the trophies. They can take the head of the boar and put it on their wall or whatever. They do this for sport. But if you go out there with an assault rifle, there ain't going to be much left to put up on your wall. Let's just be honest, So, I don't think that we should have those guns out there for anybody to have. If anybody's going to have it, the military, and I hate to see that anybody even has to use them. But, the background checks, I think, like you said, that's the least that we can do to try and take a step to make things safer,
Right. At least for our children, if not for us. I mean, think about somebody other than yourself for once. What's your thoughts on this, Kimberly?
I agree that, and if I don't think that the background checks and the laws that we have now are necessarily being adhered to the strength that they should be. It's obvious that people are getting their hands on guns that shouldn't, and I don't have any problem with a stricter background check. Like you said, if you can't pass it, you don't need a gun. And that's not violating the amendment that allows us to have arms. It's just keeping arms out of the hands of people that would misuse them.
That is true. They talked about this Wednesday on the Google Hangout with Greg Bray and Joey, and I believe it was Nick Albertini. He said about psychopaths and sociopaths, they actually have something in their brain that distinguishes them from being what we call sane, and you can see it on an MRI. And so,
yeah, I mean, I think that they have come out with advances in medical, science, that they can start to find out these things about people.
Right.
Kind of off subject, but I mean, there's a little 4-year-old boy that I've been reading about from North Carolina who's had strokes. He's had 6 major strokes and a bunch of minor strokes, and they've just now figured out, thanks to social media, putting a Facebook page up for him and it being picked up by the news. And then somebody out there said, well, this sounds like this. And so they contacted the National Institute of Health, and they went up there and he was tested because there were several other kids who had the same situation, same symptoms going on, and they were able to diagnose them. Well, they're making these advances for a reason, and I think that we need to start availing the use of these,
right,
quite possibly, because we could maybe prevent a lot of problems. And some people are like, oh, you know, that's going to lead to this, and it might, but something has to be done.
Right.
You know, and I don't know what, but, you know, something has to be done.
That's what
maybe
we
if
do know.
Maybe if they just had a lot of women in there that
We don't
what
know
you gonna
what
use this gun for? Let's talk about this.
Yeah, do you really want to?
Talk to me for a while. I want to see how cray-cray you are, as my sister would say.
Well, that's true. So they're firing in all the cylinders.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I can spot crazy most of the time. I can spot crazy.
Well,
Speaking of
I
crazy.
saw a sign. It says in the South, we don't hide our crazy in the back room. We paraded out in the front porch and offered a cocktail. Sorry, I just thought that sign was funny.
That is cute.
Pretty true.
It is cute. And I said something earlier. I was like, speaking of crazy, we had a crazy today during our taping of or our live teaching from Dr. Jones this morning. We had a lady come in right before it started, and he was fooling with his hair, and he said, "Hey, how's my hair look?" And I was getting ready to say something, and then from behind me, some like boisterous voice said, not that mine's not, but another boisterous voice said, "You don't need to worry about your hair. You need to worry about Jesus." And I was like, "Sister, we don't have to worry about Jesus. We got that going on." But anyway, she came in and sat down, and
She wasn't here long.
she didn't stay long. She didn't stay long. When Dr. Jones busted out with, you know, Jesus was murdered. He wasn't a human sacrifice to forgive us for our sins. And sister got up, twisted off. And I had just stepped out and missed the twisting off. But you were in the back with Kids Place. I think you and Kimberly were back
as
there.
she was coming through the door, it was God have mercy on their souls, twisting scripture, God bless these people and help them, pray for them. I mean, there was a whole string of stuff before she made it from one door to another door, and it's less than 100 yards.
Yeah, she was very loud, and it's probably about 22 feet or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not far, and she
well, the
kind of disturbed the kids a little too.
Yeah.
But I had to explain to them that not everybody believes the same thing, and we're going to, and they're going to encounter people that don't believe what we believe, and we encounter people that don't believe what we believe. And I tried to comfort them in a way, but also use this as an opportunity to. I mean, there's a lot I could have said. I could have got up and got the woman out the door quicker. I could have said something to her and confronted her. And a part of me wanted to, but at the same time, I think that I just wanted to just let her go and show the kids that we didn't have to react back and, you know, be in her face. And, you know, and then I explained to them that, you know, not everybody's going to share the same beliefs. And, you know, she's not any less special to God, and we're not any less special to God because we don't have the same beliefs.
Well, you know what she said? The weird thing was, she was like, "Yeah, Jesus told me to show up here today. I don't know, but I did what Jesus said." And
so either she listened to Jesus and she came,
right,
and then she defied him and left, or maybe Jesus spoke again to her and told her to get up and go,
or she didn't hear Jesus at all.
Right, exactly.
So that was crazy, but
it was a little intense.
Yeah, it was funny, in a way, but it happens, doesn't it, Kimberly?
It does. I thought Monica handled it so well, and if I could have grabbed the lady, I'd have thanked her, because it opened up an opportunity to talk with the kids and give them a chance to, you know, experience someone being negative and see how well Monica handled it. I was very impressed. And
very good.
Thank you.
Yes, yes, it was a good.
I was like,
moment.
oh, what do I say?
But she was so calm, and, you know, and the kids were, what was that, you know, and my initial response was, okay, I'll talk to my kids about this later. Let's just calm the kids down, because they were upset. But, you know, Monica handled it very well, explaining it to them and getting them to understand, people are just in a different place, and that doesn't mean we are going to lash out at them just because they lash out at us. And I thought it was really well done.
Very good.
Yeah.
Kudos.
One of the other kids said, you know, some people don't even believe in God, and another kid was like, yeah, they're atheists. And I said, yeah, but they're still children of God, you know, whether they believe in them or not. We believe in them. So we believe that they're still children of God, and we shouldn't treat them any different because of their non-belief or in our belief, you know. And I think I said something about, you know, having labels for people and letting our beliefs cause separation isn't going to benefit anybody.
Right.
And I said, you know, we can't force her to stay here, you know, but you're going to encounter people that don't agree.
Very true. So. And don't forget that normal is just a setting on a wash machine.
That's right.
So there's all kinds of crazy, all kinds of normal out there just because it doesn't fit our mold. And sometimes I'm guilty of that. You know, if you don't fit this mold of normal that I think you should have, then you're abnormal or you're, you know, not quite there yet. But I think we all have our own little niches in life, and we can learn from each other, and we have. So like today, you showed yourself in a good light in front of people, and I'm very proud of you. Just want to say it. No problem.
I don't always do that, do I?
Most of the time you do. Most of the time you do. Unless somebody's trying to tell you how to cook a dish that you've been cooking for years and years. Have you gotten over that yet?
I think for the most part.
Okay. Didn't you tell me about strangling somebody when I came in the door?
No, that was over kids.
Okay. You're working on that. Just joking. She's good. She's a good girl. Both of them are. Okay, well, we are closing. We're going to be signing off in the words of Buster T. Stottlemyre. I'm going to be signing off up here, and all you in TV land. We will see you next week for Reflections, and we hope you have a good week. Bye.